This lesson is on combining like terms. Before we start combining like terms, there are some vocabulary words that I would like to go over. So one of the vocabulary words that we need to go over are the different monomials, binomials, and the trinomials. So if you look at the monomials, there is one term right here. For example, z is one term, negative 2x is one term right there, and then 3a squared is another term right there. Now let's talk about binomials. So binomials right here has two parts right there, and so there's two terms. So if you look at 3y right there, that's one term, plus 9 is the second term right there. I also have as a negative 5x squared, that's one term right there, and then plus 2x is the second term right there. We also have is the trinomial, which has, in this case, three parts. There's 1, 2, and 3 parts right there. So it has three terms. So if you look at the 3x right there, that's one term right there. 2y is another term. 7 is another term right there. And so is just down here. We have a 7y cubed minus 10y squared and also plus 9y. So there are three terms for this. Now within the terms, we also want to talk about is the number in front of the term is going to be called the coefficient. Variables are the letters that are involved in there. So those are things that we want to make sure the vocabulary is clear before we start combining like terms. So in example 1, what we're doing is then we're going to make sure our terms are the same and we're going to combine the same terms. So in this case, I have is a 3x right there, minus y, plus 2x, and then plus 4y. Variables that we're talking about are x's and y's. First variable of x has a coefficient of 3 right there. The second term has a coefficient of negative 1. The third term has a coefficient of positive 2. And the fourth term has a coefficient of positive 4. So we're going to combine two of the similar terms together. So first we're going to have is the 3x. We're going to combine it with the positive 2x. The negative y and plus 4y is going to be combined together right there. If I have 3x plus 2x, that will equal to 5x. If I have negative 1y plus 4y, that will equal to positive 3y. So after we have done that, then we just need to put it together, and that will be our final answer right there, 5x plus 3y. Let's try example 2. So in example 2, if there's two parentheses, which are binomial terms in the two parentheses, we have to be careful is the coefficient in front of the parentheses. So in this coefficient in front of the parentheses is a positive 1. So when I take a positive 1 that is in front of the parentheses, the coefficient right there, and I multiply it into the 6x, that's not changing any of our signs, because this is positive times positive will be positive. So nothing gets changed. So the purpose of simplifying or combining like terms is to make sure we get rid of all the parentheses and just make it smaller. So in the first parentheses, because it's positive 1 times 6x minus 9y, that's not changing the value, so we can already drop the parentheses and leave it as 6x minus 9y. The second parentheses, same thing in front of it, is coefficient of positive 1. If I take my positive 1 and multiply it to negative 5x plus 4y, then that's going to also drop my parentheses and nothing gets changed as far as the value. Now once we're here, we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So we're combining the 6x and the minus 5x. Also combine the 4y and minus 9y. So let's go ahead and show that. So I had to just swap the middle two numbers right there. So now 6x minus 5x and then minus 9y plus 4y will give us positive 1x minus 5y. Okay, example 3. If I have 5c squared minus a negative 6c squared, then we're going to have to combine. So it's the signs that we're going to be combining because we have is a negative out here and we also have a negative inside. So our negative times negative right there will then convert us to a positive. So it's going to look something like this: 5c squared plus 6c squared. So the terms are the same because it's c squared and also c squared. So I can combine them together. So 5 plus 6 will give us 11. So we have is 11c squared. Okay, let's try example 4. So example 4 is similar to example 2. We have to make sure that we know what the coefficient is in front of the parentheses. So the coefficient in front of the parentheses is a positive 1 on the first part right here. But in the second part right here, I have is a negative 1 right here. So in the first part, I can go ahead and drop my parentheses because it's positive 1. Positive 1 will not affect any part of that equation. However, because of the negative 1 right there, we're going to have to make sure we multiply it to the second part of the parentheses, which is then negative 1 times 3x, and then also negative 1 plus 4y. So if I do that, we're going to go ahead and get rid of our parentheses, but because negative times positive gives me negative, we have as a negative right here. And if I have a negative times a positive, that's going to give me negative. Now we're going to combine. So we're going to combine the same terms, similar to example 1. If I have 5x right here, I'm looking for another something x. So it looks like negative 3x right there. I can combine those, and I will combine the term of negative y with the negative 4y right there. So let's go ahead and do that. So I swapped it around, and now I have 5x minus 3x, which will give us positive 2x. Then I also have is negative 4y minus 1y, which will give me negative 5y. So if I simplify that, we're going to get something like this. Okay? So that is the lesson of combining like terms.